Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Today's drought monitor reflecting improvement for areas that still need it. Moderate drought persisting in parts of the eastern panhandle and locally in southern West Virginia. Overall, big improvements from what we had earlier this summer. For the month of July, as we approach the end of it, using Charleston as an example, it has been on the warm side and somewhat dry side for Charleston. Of course, parts of the state dealing with some significant flooding for the month of July. Over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday generally responsible for the accumulation you see here, with about a ½ inch expected toward Charleston, the darker blues. Elkins toward Lewisburg would have that localized inch or more. But in the meantime, still on the quiet side of things with high pressure to our west and north. That high will be moving closer over West Virginia as we head through Friday, keeping things clear and quiet. Some fog possible overnight, otherwise some sunshine. It's as we head through Saturday that things start to turn unsettled from the west. 5CRW forecast, it starts at home. That same system bringing us some eventual weekend wet weather will also bring some weekend rain toward Atlanta, D.C., New York, and Charlotte. As we look at your panhandle, the panhandle forecast, another cooler night with mid and upper 50s looking north, some patchy fog represented toward Kingwood, then a high of 81 there on Friday, 87 Moundsville, Morgantown 83 with sunshine, looking east mid 50s to mid 60s, and then upper 80s here for our Friday, 89 Martinsburg, 88 Petersburg. We'll see 56 and clear skies for Elkins, then 81 Friday, 75 Snowshoe, but mid 80s as you start to look to the west. Meanwhile, Marlinton, 54 tonight with clear skies, 83 Friday. Charleston, 86 and sun. We will have some rain over the weekend, potentially some lull in rain chances at the start of next week before more shower and thunderstorm potential.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Five, three,
Red 57! Red 57! Hot!
I don't believe what I just saw.
Bill McKenzie kicks a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
From the home of the state's land-grant institution, inside the Health Plan Studios, in the Dale B. Miller Building in Morgantown, it's time for the state's most listened-to sports talk show. This is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. CityNet, cybersecurity experts for the digital age. And now, across the state of West Virginia and beyond, Sportsline is on the air.
Sportsline for a Thursday night. Thanks for joining us on the Metro News TV app, Metro News Radio Network. Kyle Wiggs and Brad Howe in the studio with us. Greg is tending to some personal business today. We hope to have him back coming up tomorrow. But Brad, a lot to do tonight. We've got there's been a Ross Hodge sighting for the summer.
A basketball show in July. Here we go. We've talked about practice underway. They're fully going. And yeah, we got Ross Hodge in front of the media today. And it was newsy, Kyle. It was not a superficial press conference there. He jumped in and addressed some key issues that we'll get into.
Yeah, we'll get into that and a lot of other stuff as well. Of course, the Giants are down at the Greenbrier, and we've got a man on the scene, Riley Griffith of the Panhandle News Network over in Martinsburg. He's down there covering that for Metro News, and got a question in to first-year Giants head coach John Harbaugh about the Nealon family, and there's a really, really deep connection between the Harbaughs and the Nealons.
A long history there with not only the Harbaugh kids, Jim and John, that obviously are not kids any longer, and their dad, Jack, as well, going back a long ways with Coach Nealon.
And John Harbaugh has actually coached within the state's borders before. He was an assistant at both Pitt and Cincinnati when those teams came to Morgantown to play the Mountaineers. So we'll talk about all that a little bit later on in the show. And also, of course, every day this week there's been news concerning the Protect College Sports Act. And real quick, it looks like, again, that deadline for the August recess for Congress is coming up August 7th. There were some changes made. The SEC and the Big Ten faced another deadline today, and it doesn't look like this is going to move past that deadline.
Well, there was some talk that the speaker had to issue it by today at 5 o'clock. That deadline has come and gone. Now there's conflicting reports that that's true or not true, so we'll see. But here's the latest from Ross Dellinger real quick before we dive into basketball. The ACC presidents did not take a formal vote on the Senate bill during their meeting today. Widespread support in the league for the bill, but several members are opposed to the expansion provision. At a meeting earlier today, according to Dellinger, the Big 12 presidents and chancellors again reaffirmed their support for the bill, but that league, the Big 12, is suggesting clarifying language related to the associate entity provision in the language, which is also reportedly part of the issue the SEC and the Big 10 is having. So again, 4 different leagues, 2 different major issues that leagues are still having trouble with, and we've passed a 5 o'clock deadline to get this bill moving through. So we'll see. Again, that probably means the roller coaster continues, and by Monday we'll hear that it's moving forward. But for right now, it looks like the chances of getting it done before the recess are even slimmer than they were last night.
All right, let's get into basketball. As you mentioned, some news in terms of a Mountaineer player who still has questions about his eligibility, or at least the NCAA has questions about his eligibility.
Yeah, that's about Javen Buchanan, and we'll hear a cut from Ross here in just a minute. But the news coming out of Ross's press conference today, Javen Buchanan's the Boise State transfer and had applied for a waiver for this season through the NCAA. Javen has 2 non-NCAA years. He played 2 years for NAIA Indiana Wesleyan. So according to previous precedent, the JUCO years, NAIA years, non-NCAA years have been given back to many players. So Buchanan people have felt good all along that there would be a waiver granted. The NCAA did not. But now it moves into the next phase of this, which is in the court system. So Javen and his representatives will go to court to try and seek an injunction and a waiver to get him eligible to play. So the question about that just becomes how long that takes, or what's the timing of that.
So Ross Hodge was asked directly, first of all, there's an open roster spot, and we'll get to that part of it as well as a part of this question. But the first question to him was, what's the timeline for this in terms of knowing the status of Javen?
Yeah, so the first part of the question would be no. You know, there's not a specific timeline necessarily. At this point, it's out of the waiver process completely. I mean, it's the next phase is, you know, the legal process. And so doesn't have like a hearing date set or anything like that. And obviously we're in communication with him on those things, but that part specifically, when it gets to that's kind of through the individual and his representation, and you're allowing them to handle that as much as you can while you're supporting them in that process. And then what was the second part?
If you add to the roster, is there a certain date or area before the season when you would like that to be
I mean, I think what you'd like to do is, even if it's a situation, if someone is in a similar situation to Javen and it's kind of at that point where you're waiting on a court ruling, my hope would be that by the time we start school, that they're in school.
Okay, so that's a couple weeks, right? West Virginia begins on August 17th there, so there's a couple weeks for that. What he's referring to there's potentially a pool of players that become available if this group of players, and it includes Brennan Lorient, that have played 4 years of college and just straight 4 years, have not played a fifth, have not redshirted, do not have an NAIA or a JUCO year, just guys that have played 4 years and they've exhausted their eligibility and were timed out before the new 5 years to play 5 rule has come into effect. We've seen lawsuits all over the country, including a couple that are really blanket lawsuits that would cover every player in that category. If those are granted here in the next couple of days, that would free up a talent pool, including Brennan Lorient. If not, you may see other individuals filing court cases here soon to see if they can get that fifth year back. And this is going to be interesting to watch here. From a Buchanan standpoint, I think you feel good about this if you're WVU and being able to have Javen eligible for you, because as Ross talks about in another part of this press conference, those seem to be the kind of profile of guys that are getting approved for this, guys that have had JUCO or NAIA. On the Brennan Lauriant one, we've seen some judges rule in that favor here. So this could potentially be massive if you get a Javen Buchanan cleared, which is a big deal to this roster. That's a talented player that brings a unique skill set we'll talk about later. That's one thing. And then potentially, if there becomes a group of guys available on the market that get a fifth year back, and first and foremost for West Virginia on that list would be Brennan Lauriant, you're talking about potentially adding a guy in there that's an NBA-type talent, certainly a professional in BLO. So we'll have to see how these fly out. The first one and the one you feel best about, I think, if you're WVU, would be the Javen situation getting eligible, but that'll have to now make its way through the courts.
Yeah, just a matter of waiting, right? Yeah. And again, if this pool of players become eligible with a court hearing, more chaos.
Yes.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Not just for West Virginia.
And certainly some more talent available out there. So you can see why West Virginia has held a roster spot back in the hopes that fifth year gets granted. You know, Belo's an interesting case. Let's take him for a minute while we're here. He only played, Kyle, 61 minutes as a freshman. You talk about the guy's still a baby here, and they were that sandwich group that didn't get an extra JUCO year, they didn't get an extra COVID year, and they missed out on the 5-for-5. So that one's secondary maybe, or down the road maybe just a little bit. But what he's saying there is he hopes in those situations, the fifth year for some of these guys, that resolves itself within the next couple of weeks. And if there's that spot added, if that last roster spot is added too, that they're in place before August 17th.
Another bit of news came out today. West Virginia will be playing an exhibition game. The Mountaineer men's basketball team will be playing an exhibition game at Maryland.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's funny, isn't it, how the NCAA operates? And you look at college football that has to start, and boom, you're only getting 12 regular season games, and you're right out of the gate going. Basketball, on the other side, I think is doing this in a smart and beneficial way for these teams. They've added another exhibition to the slate. You can play up to 3 this year. Ross announced during this press conference there will be an open exhibition game, so a game against Maryland at Maryland during this exhibition season. So that's fun. And then the hope is they'll return one to you next year. But that's a good test in year 2 of Buzz Williams. West Virginia played Maryland last year in a closed-door scrimmage. If you remember, Honor Huff and Trey Eaglestaff were unbelievable in that game, and you ran Maryland out of the building. But it was year 1 under Buzz Williams. He will have that team much better than they were. That'll be a good early test in the exhibition season.
Much, much more with Mountaineer men's basketball coach Ross Hodge coming up as we return to the CityNet statewide sports line. We're in the Health Plan studios. Since 1979, the Health Plan has called West Virginia home. From humble beginnings, they've grown alongside West Virginia, becoming a part of its fabric. For over 4 decades, they've been here through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses, proudly serving West Virginia for over 40 years. The Health Plan.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
It's good to have options for your family or employees. Rooted in your community since 1979, the Health Plan is your trusted partner. Get flexible coverage, exceptional support, and competitive rates.
The Health Plan, we are here for you.
Hey, this is Brad Howe for your local internet provider, CityNet. Fiber is now at your front door, and even in rural areas and communities across West Virginia. Thanks to broadband expansion funding, your tax dollars helped make it possible. And CityNet turned that investment into real connections for local families and businesses. Now, you can get blazing fast fiber internet with free installation, free equipment, no long-term contract, and local customer support that's always close to home. Don't settle for slow or no internet for another day. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line
returns in 2 minutes
on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
The best selection of WVU apparel is at Daniel's Men's Store. Exclusive designs you won't find anywhere else. Stylish, sophisticated, and unmistakably Mountaineer. Shop in store or online at danielsofmorgantown.com.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Our commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. With factory-trained technicians and a service team you can trust, we're here to keep your vehicle running at its best for years to come. So when it's time to get your next vehicle, choose the dealership that's been serving the community for generations. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the road.
Of course, the LVA was brought into my life because I had a severe heart attack in November of 2024. And then I entered into congestive heart failure.
Where he was in the course, we really had to go towards an LVAD.
At that point, I was committed. At that point, I wanted to get better, and I wanted to see what this machine was going to do for me.
With this therapy, he's thriving, doing well. And not only is he living, he's thriving.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
Sitting at Statewide Sportsline for Thursday, we're in the Health Plan Studios. Mountaineer men's basketball, the bulk of the show today, because we got good information, good insight from the head coach. A little bit later on, we'll head to the Greenbrier and kind of get an on-the-scene report from down there as the Giants are holding the early portion of their training camp at the Greenbrier. But, again, we focus on Mountaineer men's basketball. Ross Hodge, second-year WVU head coach, meeting the media today, and he talked about building chemistry and building a team with an almost completely new roster.
We all were talking about what was best for all of us as individuals, and now you're going to start shifting those conversations back into a team dynamic and a group dynamic and getting them to understand that, hey, we're all in this together, with a bunch of new guys that are, learning terminology, learning each other, learning what they're supposed to be doing. And I think the biggest challenge is in the midst of each individual trying to figure it out for themselves, they can't get just lost in themselves. They still have to make sure they're connected to the group. Use the analogy, if none of us knew how to speak French in this group, the first thing you would be trying to do is make sure you could understand what was being said, and then maybe you could help somebody else. So that's natural, but you do kind of have to fight against that because we all are in this together.
I think that's a great way to explain what's going on. And so what he's saying there is just think about how you operate. If you don't understand something really well, it's hard to be a leader to somebody else, either in your office or on your team right there. So he says he's got a bunch of new guys there that are trying to learn what the coaches are asking them to do. So it's really difficult when you're not doing everything correctly or you don't feel you've got a great grasp on it to turn around and tell one of your teammates or help one of your teammates to tell them what they should be doing. And that starts to bring itself along. Last year, I thought we saw that early with Jasper Floyd and Brendan Lorien, who had played in that system and understood it completely. They were very vocal leaders early on in practice. I think this summer, it's taking a little bit longer for these guys to be demonstrative to their teammates because they're trying to internally get everything set. As the weeks and days have gone on, you've seen the leadership start to come out from some of these guys.
And again, to carry on with that thought, is establishing the defensive identity. And you've talked in the past about how just the basic fundamentals of what these coaches teach defensively is difficult to pick up. So you've got a new group all learning that.
Yeah, correct. And that's a lot of where the teaching comes from here. I mean, you're not necessarily installing sets and offensive sets right now, but it's trying to get these guys to understand how to collectively play as a defense, how this staff likes to do it. And again, you've got some guys that are really talented individual defenders, and you've got a couple of big shot blockers on the back end. So I have a feeling this team's going to end up being really good defensively again. It just takes some early going to understand how this staff wants you to play it.
That was the next question. With basically a new team, how do you go about establishing that defensive identity?
We have a defensive identity. No secret that if you're going to be good in the Big 12 as a team, you have to be really good defensively. Again, looking at that again, I think you had seven of the top best 25 defenses were in our league. So some of it, you're having those conversations with them prior to them even making the decision to come here, that is going to be a part of what they're being asked to do. And then if you're a player as an individual, like, they know that you're going to have to be able to be a pretty good defensive player to play at the highest level that you would like to play at.
So I think this is interesting. If you start to look at this roster as it's constructed now, you've got a couple guys on your wings and your perimeter in Josan Sannon and Seydou Traore that are outstanding perimeter defenders with size. 6'5" and 6'6" you're talking about there, and you're talking about Josan Sannon that is coming directly from Rick Pitino in St. John. So you think he had to play defense there and was talked about defense. So that's a guy that gets it right away. We've talked about Traore before, that was one of the best defenders in the Big 12 last year. And I've said I thought he did as good a job on Honor Huff last year as any single defender. And he did that at that size, at 6'6". He stayed with honor. So how about those two guys on the perimeter? And then you sit a Mo Silla on the back line at 7 foot with his athleticism to be able to erase some shots and run that point drop when you come out and hedge at the top and get back. Amadou Sini, when he comes in at 7'3" for Silla on some matchups, he'll create some defense. That doesn't even take into account Javen Buchanan, what he's going to be able to give you if he is granted his eligibility to play. Finley Bizjack is a guy that fits into this. Wasn't asked to play a lot of defense at Butler. Part of the reason he came here, he knew this group would make him a better defender and round out his game to be able to get to the next level, whatever that may be professionally. So you've got some guys that are willing and able learners, and then you've got some guys that already, I think, that are elite defenders.
So college basketball in recent years, there's been more time than ever in the offseason and in the summer for the coaches to be with their guys. And Coach Ross Hodge talked about that, evaluating the individual players and evaluating the team.
Your strengths and weaknesses as a basketball team are probably going to look a little different. And I don't know if you, especially in this time period, I don't know if you can get like just too married to, a specific way of, you kind of have your core beliefs and your core principles and the core things that you believe win basketball games, but how you achieve those are probably going to look a little different from year to year. And some of it is you're doing a lot of observing yourself, as a coach. You're watching these guys play, you're watching them play together, and you're trying to figure out, like, okay, what are the individual strengths and what are the collective strengths? And you're always trying to, play to your strengths and play away from your weaknesses.
So this will be a team that'll be very good defensively again, right? That's going to be Ross Hodge every single year. He wouldn't recruit guys that couldn't fit into that system. I think what he's alluding to there, the offense is going to go about it in a different manner than what it had to last year. And so that's part of what you start to evaluate now is that they knew what they were recruiting. They weren't taking flyers here on guys. They were deep dives into what they brought to the table. Now it's a matter of fitting some of those guys together, fitting a Finley Bizjack in that got to shoot it whenever he wanted to at Butler. But now you got other guys like Josan Sannon that can score at all three levels. You've got a post inside in Mo Silla that can run the offense through him, and you've got a dynamic point guard in Miles Sadler here. So a bunch of different ways to play here.
And the next question, okay, will you play faster? Part of that is having a rocket at point guard.
Yes.
So that question was asked. Will this team have a quicker tempo offensively?
Naturally, the pace of play will pick up more this year, just because of who's at your point guard position. It's kind of like your quarterback. Typically, if that position doesn't want to play fast, then you typically are not going to play fast. So I think naturally it'll pick up with Miles' speed and Finley's speed, and also the length and athleticism in your front court, even with like Mo and Amadou and Alou and Josan and Seydu are both really good athletes. So naturally, I think the pace of play will pick up without even having to say anything. And then, I think for me personally as a coach, I think you're always just trying to generate the best shot that you can on each possession. And sometimes that may only take one pass, and sometimes that could maybe take more of the shot clock. And it's really just trying to figure out what are good shots for you as a group.
So the first part of that, and he talked about personnel. You've got a roster full of guys that can run the floor. When your 7-footers are those guys he mentioned, and even Cini at 7'3" really gets up the floor. Mo Silla runs like very few 7-footers in the country, and even Alodiem is very athletic at 6'10" and can get up the floor. So your centers and your point guard are all extremely fast, so you're going to move it. But that also doesn't mean he's going to be okay just running up and down the floor and chucking shots here early in the clock. He's going to get an easy shot if it's there. Otherwise, it's going to be the right one. But I think there's no doubt this will be a faster team than what you've seen.
And that's the thing that probably frustrated fans the most last year was pace at times.
Yeah, and I get it. But if you're Ross, there's no sense taking a point guard like Jasper, who had so many great qualities and allowed you to win the games you did, and tell him that he's got to run when his style isn't built to run. You had a 7-footer in Harlan, who I've talked about ad nauseum, that was as good defensively as you could find last year in the Big 12 at that position. But Harlan wasn't a guy that could run up and down the floor and play 28 minutes that you needed to. So that team wasn't constructed to run up and down the floor. You had to fit it offensively to what your skill set was. Ross is a good enough coach. He's looking at his roster now and says, here's what we're going to do well, and here's our advantage. We're going to get up and go.
Let's go. We'll take a break. We've got more to come with the head coach, Ross Hodge, from his media availability today. And really the most men's basketball talk that we've had pretty much all summer. And we'll continue on with that theme. This is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. We'll return to the Health Plan Studios right after this.
WVU Medicine's Reconstructive Urology program offers expert, personalized care for complex conditions, from trauma and strictures to erectile dysfunction and incontinence. Our nationally recognized specialists use advanced techniques, including robotic surgery and prosthetic implants, to help you reach your goals. Schedule your consultation today at 855-WVU-CARE or visit wvumedicine.org/urology.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
It's good to have options for your family or employees. Rooted in your community since 1979, the Health Plan is your trusted partner. Get flexible coverage, exceptional support, and competitive rates.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Today's drought monitor reflecting improvement for areas that still need it. Moderate drought persisting in parts of the eastern panhandle and locally in southern West Virginia. Overall, big improvements from what we had earlier this summer. For the month of July, as we approach the end of it, using Charleston as an example, it has been on the warm side and somewhat dry side for Charleston. Of course, parts of the state dealing with some significant flooding for the month of July. Over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday generally responsible for the accumulation you see here, with about a ½ inch expected toward Charleston, the darker blues. Elkins toward Lewisburg would have that localized inch or more. But in the meantime, still on the quiet side of things with high pressure to our west and north. That high will be moving closer over West Virginia as we head through Friday, keeping things clear and quiet, some fog possible overnight, otherwise some sunshine. It's as we head through Saturday that things start to turn unsettled from the west. 5CRW forecast, it starts at home. That same system bringing us some eventual weekend wet weather will also bring some weekend rain toward Atlanta, D.C., New York, and Charlotte. As we look at your panhandle, the panhandle forecast, Another cooler night with mid and upper 50s looking north, some patchy fog represented toward Kingwood, then a high of 81 there on Friday, 87 Moundsville, Morgantown 83 with sunshine, looking east mid 50s to mid 60s, and then upper 80s here for our Friday, 89 Martinsburg, 88 Petersburg. We'll see 56 and clear skies for Elkins, then 81 Friday, 75 Snowshoe, but mid 80s as you start to look to the west. Meanwhile, Marlinton, 54 tonight with clear skies, 83 Friday. Charleston, 86 and sun. We will have some rain over the weekend, potentially some lull in rain chances at the start of next week before more shower and thunderstorm potential.
Sitting at Statewide Sportsline, we're inside the Health Plan Studios on this Thursday. Kyle and Brad, Greg is out. We expect him to be back coming up on Friday. And tomorrow's show, we anticipate visiting with the winner of the West Virginia Open that's going on today. We'll try and give you an update on that as we move along. And as we mentioned, the Giants, the New York Giants, New York football Giants are at the Greenbrier.
They are.
How about that? And we've got a reporter there. Riley Griffith will join us tonight. We'll also check in with him tomorrow as well. So on Monday, our buddy, friend of the show, Sharon Young will be in the studio with us.
Former Morgantown High standout. It'll be great to catch up with him and see how his summer's been going. He's off to a new school.
Right.
Yep, headed to Western Kentucky next season.
Left Akron for Western Kentucky, and he's going to be in town for a little bit. One final break before the semester starts, and they get back to work. So Sharon Young will be with us on Monday, or at least that's the schedule. All right, Mountaineer basketball team. Coach Ross Hodge today talking a lot about the roster. And one of the players, one of the returnees is Amir Jenkins, who, of course, played through shoulder discomfort last year and ended up having to have surgery. And his recovery.
Had to have two surgeries. Remember,
right.
he had the first one early, right after the season, and then Ross will get into here, and I'll let him explain, and then we'll talk about what that may mean, how these new rules impact potentially Amir's ability to play this year. But yeah, an update here on Amir Jenkins from Coach Hodge.
So Amir had surgery on his left shoulder pretty quickly after the season. And then once he was able to get range of motion to a certain degree, then he had surgery on his right one, which was like right at the 1st of July. And so he's recovering from that one, making good progress in both of those. And, kind of just checking the boxes, range of motion, then you got to get the strength, and you can get back out there with some non-contact, then you eventually can, make your way back all the way up to full contact with it.
I continue to be amazed that guy played last year with two problems in his shoulders, a problem in each shoulder, and he played in this league, what was by far the best basketball league in America. Just an incredible gutty effort from Amir Jenkins. I think what's interesting now is as Amir begins his rehab from the two surgeries is just what is his availability, when does he, if he becomes available during this season, because with no medical red shirts now, everybody just gets the 5th year. When he's ready, he's ready. And if that happens in January, great. If that happens in February, I think you're going to see him mixed in whenever he can become available health-wise, if that's possible this season. And, man, Kyle, it would be great because you talk about a guy that fits into Ross's last answer about getting up and down the floor. Amir Jenkins, as we saw last year, is a guy that can really go. His passing ability to break down a defense and then spray that ball is going to be right in line with Miles Sanders. That'd be a couple pretty good point guards there running the offense. So hope for a speedy recovery and hope to get him back this season at some point.
No question. Certainly rooting for him, given the toughness and the tenacity he showed to get through last year. You'd love to see him back in there healthy and contributing. All right, another question about that 15th roster spot. Coach Ross Hodge asked directly about filling that spot.
You never want to say never. I think you'd probably look to start internally in that manner with players out of that pool that maybe you have some familiarity with, that have familiarity with you. before you kind of just brought in someone new. But again, there is a chance that, I guess you'd say, the landscape or the market could get inundated with a lot of talent here late in the summer.
Yeah, and so as we talked earlier, there's a couple of suits going on that involve a bunch of players. One of them out of Colorado is a class action that would be a blanket approval for everybody in those situations. But what he's referring to there is, obviously, if he has his choice and he's going to fill that last spot, and it's not like you need to fill that last spot. The roster is really in good shape now if this is what it is. But if you can add another player and it's somebody that you're familiar with and knows your system, and you can get him in here in the next couple of weeks, might be worth doing if that option presents itself.
Mm-hmm. Point guard Miles Sadler, one of the top freshmen in the country as a recruit, expected to obviously make a major impact in his first year in the Big 12 Conference. And Coach Hodge was asked about what he's seen from Sadler during these offseason workouts so far.
He's a very confident player, but his humility and his humbleness, is also what makes him special. His willingness to be coached. He's a great teammate. He endears himself to his teammates. He's easy to pull for, and he knows he's got to get a lot better. He's not coming in here like he has all the answers and he's got it all figured out, And he's talented. He's competitive. He's got a great competitive spirit, but his willingness to be coached and be a good teammate and not have it all figured out is probably what's jumped out, and those characteristics usually allow talented players and talented people to even get better at a rapid rate.
Boy, and he's fast, Kyle, up and down the floor, and his first step is so explosive, and his handle and his wiggle and his ability to pass. He just has it all. Now, the disclaimer part comes in that you couldn't have played better high school competition than what Miles Sadler did. At the EYBL, through that thing, he's played the very best in high school basketball over the last couple of years. That said, this is a different animal coming into this league with the size, athleticism, and physicality he's going to face. So not a finished product yet by any means. He's got a ways to go, but he's learning it. He's willing. As Ross said, he's very coachable. And just personality-wise, he's going to be a fan favorite. Smiles a lot and is a joy to be around. So I think we're going to enjoy watching Miles Sadler.
Yeah, an electrifying presence on the court that will change the complexion of this team.
He is. He'll be fun to watch. There'll be some wow plays out there this season, no doubt.
One more from Coach Ross Hodge, or at least for tonight. He talked about how the non-conference schedule is coming together.
The Players Era obviously adds a very third competitive game, where last year your MTV was just a 2-game MTE down in Charleston. So you're naturally picking up one more super competitive game. We knew that, the Pitt game was going to be on the road, and so we wanted to make sure we wanted to try to get a really good home game in the non-league. And I was actually talking to Tony and Brad. Mess was in there, but it was before one of our home games in the non-league last year. And, they come in, we're doing the pregame interview, and we sit around and talk a little bit. And, I was kind of asking them if there was a non-league game that would kind of excite our fan base. And I think it was Tony was, mentioned that Virginia Tech, especially for people in the southern part of the state, they may even view that rivalry on the same level as how everybody else views the Pitt game. So, you want to try to your players certainly enjoy playing in games like that, and then also you do want to make sure that you're exciting your fan base and giving them something to look forward to early in the season.
Well, strength of schedule is not going to be an issue. He's right. That Players Era, you've got Wake Forest on the schedule. You got Virginia Tech, as he just alluded to right there, which, as you heard him say, I didn't know he was going to mention my name in the press conference today, but agree with that. That's fun. I'm glad that one's back on the calendar and the schedule. I like having a Virginia Tech series in basketball as well, so that'll be fun. And probably have another announcement coming here soon. There's still reports out there about that North Carolina game. So this is not a schedule where you've loaded up on a bunch of bye games. This is one that will be if this isn't a top 10 at least, probably a top 5 strength of schedule non-conference, I don't know how they figure that because he is playing people this year.
So Black Friday, it's going to be North Carolina or Kentucky.
It won't be Kentucky. There's report. Okay. Yeah, I would think you're headed down the path of the North Carolina. That's not officially announced yet, but you add that into the group that's already out there. Ooh, that's a schedule, Kyle.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, the players era that he talked about, the Auburn game on November 17th, a Tuesday, actually early Wednesday morning, because that's the midnight Eastern time start for that one. Second round will be Kansas or UNLV, and then there's a potential to play Houston, Florida, Notre Dame.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, you look down this schedule, and this is a test. There's no question about that. And again, I've said this before. College basketball gets it right. They allow you the opportunity to play some of these games without the huge penalties you'd get if you were doing it on the football side, as we've talked about here for years. So Ross feels he's got a team that can compete and wants to challenge these guys. And as he said, fans like this, his players like it, and he feels he's got a team that can go in there and be competitive.
The Virginia Tech game at the Coliseum early in the season, December 5th, that's a Saturday. And then the Pitt game at the Pro Arena.
Yeah, don't forget about that. Yeah,
going to be thrilling. Mountaineer fans will absolutely take that over.
I would think so too, Kyle.
December 9th, that's a Wednesday, but still Mountaineer fans will take over PPG Paints Arena on that night for the Pitt game. And then the Wake Forest game, that game was in Charleston last year. It'll be in Greensboro, North Carolina this year, December 19th. That's Saturday as well. So a lot of exciting non-conference events.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch that. It's like I said, strength of schedule will not be an issue when you start to look at resume as the year moves on.
We'll take a break. When we return, we'll head to the Greenbrier. We'll also hear from John Harbaugh in his first year as head coach of the Giants, and had some really, really nice things to say about the Nealon family. And we'll explain a little bit of that and hear that cut as well coming up as we continue on the CityNet statewide sports line. CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider. High-speed, reliable fiber internet is probably right at your front door. Now is the perfect time to connect. Local customer support you can trust. Fast, reliable fiber internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
When was the last time you checked your home's fire safety? From working smoke alarms and clear escape routes to safe heating in the winter, small checks make a big difference. The West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office has launched a quick, easy home safety survey to help you spot simple fixes around your house before emergency strikes. Take just 5 minutes today to keep your family safe. Visit firemarshal.wv.gov to complete your home safety survey. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal.
This boating season, elevate your family time with Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Proudly family-owned for over 40 years, Lou and his sons are West Virginia's largest Avalon pontoon dealer. Trusted experts in premium boats, motors, and service. Discover refined comfort, elegant design, and performance you can feel. Now is the perfect time to take advantage of preseason savings. At Lou Wendell Marine Sales, they don't just sell boats. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com because the weekend's almost here.
If a fire occurred in your home, would your smoke alarms work? Don't wait for a tragedy to find out. Smoke alarms are designed to give you and your family the precious seconds you need to safely escape. Test your smoke alarms every month by pressing the test button until the alarm sounds. Depending on the type of battery in your smoke alarm, you may need to change the batteries at least once a year or whenever the low battery warning chirps, and never remove the batteries for any reason. Remember, having working smoke alarms is not only a good idea, it's the law. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
It's good to have options for your family or employees. Rooted in your community since 1979, the health plan is your trusted partner. Get flexible coverage, exceptional support, and competitive rates.
The health plan. We are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong.
I had a severe heart attack in November of 2024. And then before I entered into congestive heart failure.
We really had to go towards an LVAD. And not only is he living, he's thriving.
At Daniels Men's Store, exceptional style begins with a curated selection and finishes with a flawless fit. When it's time to buy a suit, Daniels is here to make sure yours is one of a kind. Discovered tailored suits you'll only find in store at Daniels.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world!
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
Sitting at statewide Sportsline for this Thursday night, Kyle Wiggs and Brad Howe in Morgantown. And Riley Griffith has been covering the Giants down in training camp for MetroNews. They're at the Greenbrier. And one of the latest in a long list of teams that have utilized the Greenbrier. The Saints were first, I believe. The Texans have been there. The Browns have been there. The Arizona Cardinals have been there. There's been once or twice a team has played on the eastern part of the country twice and spent the off week at the Greenbrier. So it's been utilized a lot. And this year the Giants are there. And, of course, their first-year head coach is John Harbaugh, who has a significant link to the Neyland family, as he explained today down at Giants training camp.
I remember Coach Neyland beat us really bad when I was coaching at Cincinnati. He beat us really, really bad. But I was a special teams coach, and our punter, he had like the best day in the history of football. He averaged like 50 yards a punt, and he had about 15 punts. So it was quite a day. You can go back and check it out. I'm going to say 1989. It was a bad day for the Bearcats. But Coach Neyland played with my dad at Bowling Green. My dad coached for Coach Neyland in 1967, 68, 69 at Bowling Green State University. And Coach Neyland came back and coached with my dad and under Bo Schimbuckler at Michigan in the 70s. Danny Neyland was a long-time equipment guy there, and we were buddies. We played basketball just about every day when we were growing up and they were coaching together. So a lot of great ties to the Neyland family. Coach Neyland, Marianne, they just had the most awesome, Vicky, daughter of Danny. Just loved that family so much, and treasure those days.
Very nice things to say about the Neyland clan.
Pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they go way back there. He outlined all the connections there, but it was neat to hear him talk, and it was clear, right? He's rattling off names there, and if he had more time, he'd give you some great stories about those kids when they were little, running around those locker rooms there with Danny as well and Jim and John. Pretty neat to hear that and reminisce about Coach Neyland.
But again, John Harbaugh on the Pitt staff in '87 when Pitt came into Mountaineer Field and beat West Virginia that year. He mentioned the '89 game. West Virginia won that game over Cincinnati 69-3. And the next year, Cincinnati came back and the Mountaineers beat them 28-20. So John Harbaugh has been an assistant on those teams, coached in the state of West Virginia. He's got his Giants at the Greenbrier, and Riley joins us from down at the Greenbrier. Riley, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good, guys. How about you?
Doing well. So set the scene for us today. What was it like? This was practice number 2, right, for the Giants at the Greenbrier?
Yeah, this was practice number 2 today. It was the first one that was open to the public, and there was a really solid turnout today for practice number 2. A good contingency was there when we made our way onto the field at about 1:30 this afternoon when practice started. a good number of fans there, especially for a first day. I'm expecting a really big turnout, especially for Saturday. It's the welcome back weekend across the NFL, and there's going to be a lot of pomp that going on with the Giants too. They're welcoming back some specific legends like Sean O'Hara, who was a center for them in the mid-2000s, and Carl Banks, who legendary linebacker during those Lawrence Taylor, Bill Parcells 80s teams. So I'm expecting definitely a big turnout Saturday, but for today, still a very solid turnout for the first day of fans being allowed in.
From a weather perspective, Riley, pretty nice conditions there. It was a little warmer today, I assume, with the sun being out, but what's the weather look like going into the weekend? Have you checked the forecast?
You know, I was really surprised talking to some of the media down there from the New York, New Jersey area. It's actually hotter in New York, New Jersey than it is right now in White Sulphur Springs. They were telling me that it's like pushing 85. It's really hot out there, and they've come to White Sulphur, and it's felt a lot better from hearing from players, other people within that side of the media circle. They've said it's been a really nice change of pace for that team. Weather-wise this weekend, I believe it still looks like it's going to be really solid, low 80s, high 70s at times. Should be fine with no rain coming to the listening area for that period of time. But it's going to be, I think, some really solid weather, and should be no inclement weather to get in the way of football practice this weekend.
Now, that's great for the fans. Those coaches, Kyle, hate that because they love to put 3 sweatshirts on and 4 different coats on there in the summer and be out there. But that's great news for the fans there.
Riley, what about the flavor of the Greenbrier in West Virginia, Harbaugh's reaction and the players' reaction to being in the mountains in West Virginia?
Oh, I think everybody's loved it. From every account I've heard from someone asked about what's it like being in West Virginia around the Appalachian Mountains, it's been nothing but positive from everybody who's had anything to say about it. Jackson Dart, the Giants quarterback, got asked about it yesterday, and he said it looks like something in an 80s movie. It's old school, being able to throw around the hills around you and being able to work that way. Javon Holland, the Giants safety, he was one of the guys who was brought to us today during that podium time, and talked a little bit about there was a bus driver that was driving him around and telling him stories about crazy things in the night around the state of West Virginia. And he said, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I had to ask him, I was like, has anyone told you about Mothman yet, Javon? And he said, I don't want to open that can of worms. So it's been pretty entertaining hearing everyone's stories about being in West Virginia and what that team's gone through the past couple of days so far.
From a workout perspective, I assume it's really early here, so they're just doing a lot of drills and stuff. Have they given a schedule really of what comes? Is it all drills? Is there a scrimmage coming soon? Do you have a sense from the football side what's going on over the next few days?
So drill-wise, where we were at to start, we were put in front of defensive backs, and they were really working just on technique drills, running some ladders, doing some agility stuff. And then there has been periods of time where this team will go kind of simulate 2-minute drill. They're not in pads yet. They go in pads next week, but they're still in no pads for the moment. It's still, they're trying to simulate 2-minute drill. They have a pretty intense kicking battle going on right now, so that's something I've been watching specifically, has been the kickers and who's going to win that kicking battle, or is there going to be a veteran signed in free agency who could compete for that? But they're still going 11-on-11. It's just still no contact at the moment. Pads don't go on until next week.
And Giant fans and the media were excited to see Malik Neighbors running around, right?
Oh, yeah, he's been a massive point of conversation of what will Malik Neighbors look like after the ACL tear he suffered early last year. And Malik was one of the guys we had today, and multiple people were asking him how he's been feeling, how he's been going about it. And funny, one person asked that he was happy to avoid the PUP list, and Malik Neighbors' response was, I don't even know what the PUP list is. So he's full steam ahead. I think the plan is to try and get him ready for week 1. Barring any setbacks, it looks like he's heading that way, and he looked really solid. He's still not participating in that 11-on-11 stuff as of yet. He's still working out to the side. He worked about 20 minutes yesterday. He did about half an hour or so today, but from what I've seen, Malik Neighbors has looked really solid since coming back off the ACL tear.
All right, Riley, we'll enjoy it down there. You got the clean air, you got the trees and the mountains, and all those folks from New York. How have the gritty New York ink-stained wretches, the media guys, how are they handling it down there?
You know, I think they've really enjoyed the change of pace from everything I've gathered. Multiple people have said it's been cooler than what it has been in New York, New Jersey, and I think everybody's really been enjoying that change of pace. The reason that they elected to go with the Greenbrier, the Giants are having some renovations done with some of their area of their practice facility at the moment. And, of course, the World Cup being at the final at MetLife Stadium kind of delayed some things. So this was a perfect setup for New York taking this time to practice at the Greenbrier. I really think everybody so far has been really enjoying it.
Riley, don't forget to get you a little tea there, an afternoon tea time at the Greenbrier.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. I'll have to find some time in the afternoon for that.
Very good.
We'll check in with you again tomorrow if that's okay.
That's totally fine. Same time, same place.
That's right. Riley Griffith there for MetroNews, personality over in the Eastern Panhandle on the Panhandle News Network and WEPM, and we'll check in with him again from the Greenbrier tomorrow. With the Giants in town. A couple minutes here for the text. We got an early text. I forgot to get to this earlier, but somebody asked about Javen Buchanan. Is he allowed to practice with the team?
Yeah, good question, and the answer is yes. And Ross did talk about that today in the press conference. We didn't have that cut, but yes, Javen's been allowed to practice with the Mountaineer team. So that's the good news. So if the court case goes through and he is granted that chance to play this season, he's been a guy that's been working out with the team. So ready to go.
Texter points out that JJ Weatherhold had 2 hits and hit his 16th home run today. Brad Howe points out, though, that the Cubs won the game.
won 3 of the 4 games in the series. Now, JJ absolutely crushed that today, Kyle.
Tied the game, actually.
He last night, 4 groundouts to the right side, then he had a big walk late in the extra innings. Then today he stayed on the right side and mashed that 16th home run.
So we're still watching the battle between JJ and Sal Stewart for the National League Rookie of the Year. JJ, as the texture points out, 16 home runs now, 10 doubles. He leads the Cardinals with 69 runs. He and Stewart both have 12 stolen bases, but Sal Stewart, Brad, has 22 home runs and 79 RBI.
He closed a little, but only 10 cents. JJ still the minus 155 favorite to win the NL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and again, that'll go to the wire. It looks like Sal Stewart's going to drive in a Hyundai as a rookie.
That's all right, JJ. Keep doing what you do.
Of course, JJ could score 100 runs. So, all right, that'll do it for tonight. Greg's with us back tomorrow on the CityNet Statewide Sportsline.
From the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline is an exclusive production of the MetroNews Radio Network.
All rights reserved.